The truth is all of these things outside of it's called pleasure don't matter. The real happiness and joy and source is in here. Because no matter how much pleasure you seek, I haven't brought this one up in a long time, but the climbing Mount Everest, right? The guy spends years trying to do it, tens of thousands of dollars, gets frostbite, momentary pleasure. And the other side is just as much pain. But this is related to the food, because when he came off the mountain, he realized other people climbed it many more times than he did, or other mountain peaks in the world. But the food is never ending. The more we want, the more pain on the other side. The desire is the cause of all suffering. There is a way out. Getting centered, like I said, if I get centered right now, right here, and just relax in this prayer meditation and realize the truth, knowing the truth from the false, the truth will set you free. It's not about all of these little plans and designs. All this stuff is in the steps and in the big book. Step 3, being reborn, means in giving our life and our care over to God. Let me tell you, everything you're worried about, everything you're upset, all your addictions aren't true. They're just not true. So during the day, if you get depressed or upset or into your addiction, if you could just say that one thing, spend all day, become friends with your emotions. Don't try to fight them. Be angry, upset, resentful. Just realize it's not true. What does it matter? The answer to all my problems, I started to realize, is I don't have a problem. And also, I went to a meeting, a guy said when he wakes up, he has a thought. He says he can't believe that thought. And he says when he has a second thought, he can't believe that either. It's all false. It's coming from a false premise. The ego, again, is only what people told us what life is all about. So we're on a false premise to begin with. So how can we figure it out if we're on a false premise? How can I figure out my problems when I created them? I can't. But there's a spiritual side to me that can. Again, it was always in there. Some people say, well, what is this higher power? Some guy in the universe, maybe, whatever you want it to be. But we were creating God's image, meaning that our bodies are perfection physically. We were creating perfection with our thinking. We decided we were going to get in the way through this intellect. We misuse it. We're going to figure life out. We're going to control everyone and everything. And if only they acted right, if only life was good, then I'd be happy. Because we're looking in the wrong direction. We're looking for the answer out there and all around us. You know, go out and enjoy the world and enjoy we're talking about the food or the addictions. But understand the true source of happiness. And when we do, then the body will take over. Our mind will intuitively know the answer to our problems. Whether we want more money, more food, it's all the same thing. A billionaire wants $2 billion, never happy, never. Look, the truth is it's never going to satisfy. Never anything pleasurable. Again, pleasure is momentary. We're looking to be happy. That's why we do things. But if we look in the wrong direction and then we try to figure out how to handle that direction, the premise, the thinking was wrong. So what do we have to do? We had to forget everything. We have what's called the set-aside prayer in here, where we forget everything we know, being reborn, getting out of the old self. But what did I try to do? When I came in this program, before I worked these steps, I had hundreds of self-help books trying to figure it out. But I was using the mind that was causing the problem. I say, I'm Bob, I'm a compulsive overeater, I'm an addict, alcoholic, or whatever it is, then my problem is Bob. When I started to realize where the problem was, it was the ego, the self. Pride is the number one. Gluttony, gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins. And I talked about envy, remorse, jealousy. These are things that bring us to the lower way of thinking. So we don't have to figure it out anymore. We can have the grace of God, step 11, right here, right now. You can be, went to a lecture and a guy says, you can walk out of the prison of life right now. You can find a solution. But our whole society, we're always looking for the solution in the ego. The ego's the one that created the problem. When you're totally out of the self, think about it. Everything you're worried or upset, your addictions has to do with the self. The self is saying, unless I have these food or don't have the food, I'm going to be miserable. And I'm going to make you miserable. And then we try to figure it out. So here we're going to go. We're going to figure out through our crazy thinking. Step 2 said we had to be restored to sanity. So here, and step 1 said we're powerless. So why are we still trying to figure everything out? Why are we trying to figure it out? Look, I'm not saying all these diets are wrong or whatever. You have a certain way of eating. They're helpful. But mainly when we try to control it, weigh and measure it to an extreme degree, and we're making ourselves miserable, we're giving it power over us. Instead of perception, I showed you the apple, the orange, the water. I don't have to resist having these drinks with 1,200 calories in it. I don't have to resist having these foods with all these rich sauces, salt, oil, and sugar in all of these stores. I don't have to resist it anymore. I have it's designed for living. Any other way doesn't work. Even with your daily life, if you try to control people, say you're at a meeting at work or whatever it is, you can't control it. You're going to try to think of something smart to say to somebody. No, we can accept and have patience, love, and tolerance. This is God's grace. When we have patience, love for people around us, forgive them if they know not what they do, then the world around us changes. You want to know something? If that person doesn't change, it's fine too. So I could be in a meeting, I could be somewhere at work, and everybody could be upset with me and say, Bob, or something. Or I could think, usually it's in my mind. But I know that I could have love and compassion, understanding. I could be somewhere and everybody say, I'm using an extreme example. You could think in your mind everybody likes you, but you could go there and just smile. Same with our addictions. Just understand. When we have complete compassion, understanding, and love, and we understand life, then it surrenders. If you surrendered, the world will surrender to you. When we finally give up, and the grace, the indwelling, I always say this, where is it? It's always been in there, but we've been looking on the outside. So the love, compassion you have for people, when we wake up, if you found out today you won the lottery and you saw even an enemy in the street, you might go up and hug him, right? You'd be in a good mood. But think about this. We won the lottery every day when we wake up. We look at nature and the beauty around us. And when we get out of the self, then no matter what goes on around us, we can have love, acceptance, and tolerance. Look at people like, they're just spiritually not there. They're what we call sick people. We have that sick man prayer on the bottom of 66 and 67. It tells us. And also we had to realize that when I'm upset or when I'm in my addictions, the problem is really me. Meaning that it's my thinking, the perception change.